first video of building with Golang, and in this video we are going to build an API service for user. So in this video what we'll be doing is we'll build in this service where we can create user, update user, and fetch user details. Also we'll make changes to give admin privilege for specific users, and also an API to fetch all the users. Okay, so without much delay I'll just start. Okay, so first things first, just come here, projects, coding bits. Okay, there is already a new size. Delete this. Yeah. So I'll make the directory user service. Going to use this, we'll just open the code editor. I'm using VS Code. As most of you might be familiar with this code editor, Visual Studio Code is a really nice and lightweight editor. It has got a lot of features and got a really nice integration with Go. So it's a really good editor for developing projects in Go. The first thing that we are going to do is we'll initialize the Go module. Go mode init. So you can see I have already created some time ago. That's why it is giving me the auto session. I just created. Now you can see the Go mode has already been generated, and you won't be seeing any dependencies here because we haven't written any code yet. That's why. So we'll just create the first file that will be main.go and package main func main fmt.println hello world. Okay. Now we just run it. You can see the hello world got printed, and so at least our program is working. Now we have to build a web server. So I am using this particular. Okay, let's move this thing here so that, yeah, okay, yeah. So I will be using Fiber framework. So Fiber is a framework in Golang, which is similar to extra stairs in Node.js. It's a fairly easy one. We can write the web server using the standard HTTP package that Go offers, but we'll end up writing a bunch of code that's unnecessary. Like, why do we have to run all this code, write all this code while we have a bunch of things already run? And this well tested and it's used by a lot of folks. I just copy this code and I just paste it over here, and now I'll have to import this. So I'll go ahead and do this import. Now you would be seeing the Go mode file getting updated, and also there will be a GoSum file. So checksum file is also generated, so you can see the dependencies listed here. Now if I run run main.go, yeah, it got executed. We'll also try to run it in the Postman. Say new collection name is build with Golang. And here I'll add a new request. Request should be fetch details, and the URL will be http 127.0.0.1 plus 3000. I'll just send it. You use me hello world, so the API works. Now I'll just rearrange this. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll modify the code. So you can see as of now I am loading the I'm using a hard-coded port. So instead of this I'll load it from the config. So the idea is that later when we make the service, or when we dockerize the service, we will be able to provide the port dynamically via config. So I create a directory called config, and in this directory I'll create a file called config.go. The reason is that, okay, yeah, and we will use this config. As of now we'll make a dump config initialization, but after that we will load the config from a config file. or from environment variables. Okay. Type server struct port string. So, and we'll wrap this server inside another struct called config struct server. Okay, and we'll also create a receiver function for server for getting port. The reason is that you can see there is a semicolon here. So instead of hard coding a semicolon here, we'll use a receiver function to give you the string. Okay, what we'll do is fmt.sprintf. In sprintf we'll get a template s.port, and also we'll make an initialize function func init config, which would return a config, also an error, and we'll make this config I will make this config and pointer to the config data structure, because if any error happens we can return nil. That's the idea. As of now it will be a dumb return, it won't do anything special. Okay, so here what I'll do is I'll put 3000. Okay, now you can see a yellow problem coming that it says the init config is unused. Okay, so where will we use this init config? We'll also make one more file called context.go. The idea is that we can create the context, and inside the context we can give the config and pass it on to the web server, and this config context can pass on to all the places. That's the main idea. So here what I will do, package config and func. Okay, we'll do the type app context construct, and I will do config as config. And next things what we'll do is we create a init context. Here we'll just first get the conf and error equal to, instead of load config we'll do init config equal to nil. Currently we will panic. Okay, oh sorry, here also we will do the same. We'll return the error as well as the config. Currently we will just we'll log the error, log dot error slash in the config, and we won't print the error, we just log it and return nil and error. And sometimes developers will find it a bit confusing, or they don't really accept this kind of cancel. Like basically this error handling is kind of nightmare. Yeah, I also accept the fact that there is a small issue in the way we handle errors. So it should be error. Oh, okay. Later we'll come and we'll make it correct. Like as of now I am just using a log print line, but after some time I'll come back to this and use a different logger for logging this. Now what I'll do is config equal to cnf. So that's it, and in the main file I will initialize the context ctx config dot init context, and if error not equal to nil, I would panic error. Again here the error handle, as of now the error handle is very poor, but we'll log it, and after a while we'll come back to that. And here what I'll do is and this ctx.config.get. So that's it, and we'll just try to run this. So the server is running at port 3000. We'll just test that. Yeah, it's working. So as of the context loading is working, and we'll do much more things. Now the next part I was saying about the logger. For the logger, we will be using a library called Logres. So you can so for finding any kind of resources for Golang, there is something you can use called Awesome Go. So it's not just with Go, for any other languages there will be Awesome Go curated list. So if I go here, it will provide me a bunch of stuff. Like if I want to find a library related to audio music, I can find it here. Or if I want to find something else like logging, I just go here. You can see a bunch of libraries, and the one that I have usually, like I have familiarity with, is the Logrest library. So this is fairly good library. Like a bunch of people in the industry uses this. I also have used it. It has got a ton of functionalities that you actually need while logging your application. So like you can see how it looks. This is a really nice one. The idea is that when you have a production level application and you want to find some issues, you want to find some info regarding some event that happened, or debug any errors, if the log is in this particular format, you can actually process the log very easily. So we would install this particular module or library in our code. Forget -u copy is enabled. Okay, we'll install it later, and we can verify if it's got installed. Here you can see the Logger is installed, so that should be fun. Now, how to initialize this? So you can see the first point where we initialized everything, like when we logged something was in the context. Here itself we'll initialize it. So logger would be logger. So the reason we are using this particular pointer is that once we initialize logger from Logres, we can use the same instance. So the all config that we do here will remain as it is. And we create a init logger where we'll return loggers. We won't return error. Okay, we'll make sure we won't return error. So that I think that will be better. So the reason I'm not returning an error is that I'm not doing anything fishy that can actually return an error. That's why I'm using this Logres directly here. So, and also you can see the new function doesn't return an error. Isn't it? Yeah, it doesn't return any error. That's so we can with confidence we can return this function without having an error. So okay, now what we'll do is we'll just go through the code. This is okay. You can see the JSON formatter. Set output one level. Okay. This should be low. No. Progress. Here also I put the Logres. I'll just remove all the comments. And again I put Logres, and we'll put it as debug level, or we would make it better. We won't put it here. Instead we'll put it here. Okay. So Okay, so instead of what if I put logger, yeah, logger should do it. And we don't want to globally set it. Instead we just return this logger. Okay, the next thing we will do is we'll initialize the logger here first. Logger equal to init logger, and we initialize the okay, if the in configuration initialization didn't work, then we will log it properly. Logger dot initializing config, and we said okay. So in the config we'll also load one more thing. We'll load the reason is that for a production level application we don't need the debug level logs. So without changing the code we can avoid the debug level codes. Like might be in the local development version we might be logging some kind of credentials or some kind of stuff that we really don't want to be in the production or even in the staging levels. So we can put a log level where the log level controls what kind of log will get printed in the printed out to the standard output or maybe the log file. Okay, we would do logras dot log dot level, and here currently just we'll put it like log level equal to we just put it as debug level, and here in context we would make that initialization. We will load logger dot set level, in that we just log level. Yeah, that's it. And in the context we have a logger, and we'll return logger is logger. Okay, yeah, so here once we have done this we'll go here. Now we can we know if there is an error, yeah, we would panic because basically we don't have anything to we don't have a logger. That's why we'll do it like this. Here what we'll do is log dot fatal initializing context. So if the context initialization fails, the application just shuts down, saying there is an error, doing the same. Okay, and here what we'll do is after each loading we'll acknowledge that this particular thing has been done. So we would say context.logger.info loaded, and here also in the context once the configuration is loaded we would say logger.info config initialized. We'll use a convention like the lowercase for every logs that we do, so that it remain consistent. Here also I will do the same, here also I will do the same. Okay, it's and context loaded. Now starting server ctx.logger.info starting server. So here one thing we can do is we can do something like with field, we'll give the name of the field as port and the value as ctx dot config.server dot instead of get port we can use port. So that's it. We'll just rerun the application. you can see a bunch of logs coming in. It says config initialized context loader starting server at port 3000. So that's it, what it does. Now we have the log ready, we have the config initialize, everything ready. Now what we have to do is we have to move these routes to a separate package. So we'll do that. Routes, we created a directory called routes, and we'll create a file called routes.go. So we'll give the package names routes func init routes. So what all things it needs, it is requires a context ctx of app just config dot config dot app context, and also it requires the fiber app. Fiber app. Yeah. So we'll do one thing. We'll copy paste this particular piece of code from here to here. Okay, and we'll call this init routes to from here routes.init routes, and we'll pass the argument ctx and app. So the reason we pass CTS as the first argument, that's the convention that you Go follows. Anywhere you pass as a context, just pass the context as the first argument and rest as the next argument. Okay, and we'll test the same. Yep, it works. So also we add the another info initialization app routes ctx log. So we'll ctx log dot info app routes. So that's also done. Now here in routes, what we'll do is we'll separate all these routes. So for user, it should be there should be a user file which has the logic for all the user routes. Okay, so you can see the type of function that we need to deliver here. We just copy paste from here. So I just remove this func. So fiber context and error, the name should be user details. Yeah, so and okay, I use this here, and we just test the same just to make sure everything is working as required. I'm just sending this request, I get hello world back, so that should be good. Now here we'll do a bunch of stuff. So instead of sending string, we can send the JSON, because that's a kind of format and easy to parse also. So I would say JSON, and as of now, JSON requires a kind of maps kind of structure that need to be returned. So what we'll do is we'll create a new entity called DTO. This is the data translation layer. So anything that communicates with API or anything that API communicates with, we'll use this particular data translation layer to do the same. Okay, here we do we'll create a response.go package DTO response struct. So one of the things it will have the response. So few things to consider, like what all things we need to have. So if it is a response, it will definitely have data. which can be of any structure. So we put as interface, then it will have so in response we say success. Okay, yeah, so yeah, it will have, and another thing is okay, which means the data is fine, and if there is an error it would be string, and also okay, error doesn't make sense. If there's a message and okay is false, that means an error, and if you need to provide an error code, that also is possible. Int. Now we will do a func success. What it will do is it will return data, and okay, error code as 0. So we will make better. We will do the same. We will return the same error codes as the HTTP, and if we need to add something special, we will do it over time. HTTP status okay. Okay. And we'll add struct tags. Struct and omit empty. So the like we have added one more struct tag called omit empty. The why we add it is, the reason for adding this omit empty is that if any of the field doesn't have anything, for bool we remove the omit empty. Like for rest of the fields, if the field is empty, is in empty state, then we will ignore whatever we send out. Like we won't send out the message part. So that's the reason we are doing it. So, and again for code also we would ignore the we will put whatever code we put. Like suppose we send 0 as the code, the API should reflect the same. Okay, and also we'll create one more function called func error. So here we pass in a message. Instead of passing message, we can put it as error, and we will also get the code, and it returns response, data is nil, okay is false, error. Yep, I think this fits really well. So here we'll do DTO dot success, and we'll return nil. We run the application and see what's happening. So if I do this, I would get an okay, and code is 200. You can see even though we send data as nil, it is not coming out of the application because API doesn't return that, because we had a omit empty field. So that's pretty much it. We have done the basic setup of the application. In the next video we will do the rest. We'll set up all the APIs and stuff like that. Okay, thanks guys for watching. Have a nice day. Wish you luck.